Good morning, good evening. Welcome to another session of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Hope you all had a great weekend. We also did have a blissful, holy set of blissful, holy celebrations at the Radha Krishna Temple in Houston. So, over to you, Nitinji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Sandhya. Thank you, Vijayji, for a wonderful session. Agrami Saptahe Ashtavadanam Puna Midama Namo Namaha Bahu Samichinam.
Sadhu.
Sunita Upavishati. Radhe Radhe. Okay, good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Hope you had a great weekend and happy to be back. I certainly am. And we had a great weekend, like Sandhya was saying, holy full of weekend, both at Dallas as well as Houston. So happy, excited to be back. So let's get started. We have been talking about science versus spirituality over the last few sessions. So we'll continue on that journey. I picked up a couple of new shlokas today. We spoke about the 5 elements, the Panch Tanmatras, and all the 24 entities, right? Where Lord Krishna is saying all of it is his energy, which is what Einstein was trying to prove. Science so far has not been able to string together the unified field theory. However, Lord Krishna, although he's not given a formula, I mean, he's given it to humans, you figure out the formula, but they are all my energies only, right? That is the shloka we had picked up. Today I picked up a shloka to talk about the 2 sciences, 2 different kind of sciences that we are talking about. Both are bona fide. That is where we had left. Dvavidya, material science and spiritual science, both are bona fide and they have their own place. So today we'll continue on that discussion. Like I said, I picked up 2 new shlokas. So like we all do pretty frequently, we jump back and forth. And today we will make a leap over to the 13th chapter. So although we are going by sequence, 1 verse of Bhagavad Gita, and we are in chapter 4 currently doing recap, but like you would have seen, when we pick up a verse, we go back and forth, do some cross references so that we are able to distill the key message as well as take it a little deep in our understanding as the cross references suggest. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. Today, I think the daylight savings have kicked in, so it must be 1 hour early for you there in India. So hopefully it's not a big adjustment for you. So let me share my screen and we will get started with our presentation for today. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Nitinji.
Great. Okay, just give me a sec. So let's do our opening prayers to get started. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Okay, so Radha Radhe, good morning, good evening again. So let's get started then. Like I said, I picked up a verse from chapter 13. It's verse 2. Back-to-back verses, 13.2 and 13.3 is what we are going to talk about or use it as a reference point for our discussion today. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Idam Shariram Kaunteya Kshetram Atyabhijayate Etadayo Vetitam Prahuhu Kshetragya iti tadvidaha.
Okay, Ramesh ji was the one who raised his hand first, but his video is not on.
No worries. Okay.
Radhe Radhe Ramesh ji.
Ramesh.
I would encourage you to turn on your video if possible, but anyways, Radhe Radhe, go ahead.
Yeah.
राधे राधे श्रीभगवानुवाच इदं शरीरं कौन्तेय क्षेत्रमित्यभिधीयते एतद्दत्यो वेत्ति तं प्राहुः क्षेत्रज्ञ इति तद्विदः.
Nice. Thank you, Ramesh ji.
Okay, yeah, Rahul ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Rahul.
श्रीभगवान् उवाच इदं शरीरं कौन्तेय क्षेत्रम् इति अभिधीयते एतद्यो वेत्ति प्राहुः क्षेत्रज्ञ इति तद्विदः. राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe. Very nice, Rahul. Thank you.
Radhe Radhe, Shyam ji, please go ahead.
राधे राधे श्री भगवानुवाच इदं शरीरं कौन्तेय क्षेत्रमित्यभिधीयते एतद्यो वेति तं प्राहुः क्षेत्रज्ञ इति तद्विदः. राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe. Very nice, Shyamji. Thank you.
Okay, Lakshmi ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Idam Shariram Kaunteya Kshetram iti abhidhiyate Itatyo veti tam prahu Kshetrajna iti tadvidaha. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Very nice. So, remaining hands will pick up on the next shloka. This one, the Supreme Lord is saying that, O Arjun, this body is termed as Kshetra, the field of activities, and the one who knows this body is called Kshetrajna, the knower of the field. So there's a difference between the field of activities and the knower of the field by the sages who discern the truth about both. And in the very next shloka, let's do that, and remaining hands you can pick there. He says, Kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi Sarvakshetreshu Bharata Kshetra Kshetragyor Jnanam Yattaj Jnanam Matam Mama. All right,
Okay.
the remaining hands here.
I'm giving preference to the ones with video on. So Samji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Sam.
राधे राधे क्षेत्रज्ञं चापि मां विद्धि सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञयोः ज्ञानं तज्ज्ञानं मतं मम. राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you.
Ragi ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. क्षेत्रज्ञं चापि मां विद्धि सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत क्षेत्रज्ञो ज्ञानं यत् ज्ञानं मतं मम.
Yeah, touch Jnanam. Very nice. Thank you, Ragiji. Okay, we'll take the last three hands then.
Priya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे क्षेत्रज्ञं चापि मां विद्धि सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञयो ज्ञानं यत् ज्ञानं मतं मम.
Very nice. Thank you. Radhe Radhe. Yaji.
Ashutosh ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे क्षेत्रज्ञं चापि मां विद्धि सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञयोर्ज्ञानं यत् ज्ञानं मतं मम.
Very nice, Ashutosh. All right. Last but not the least, Sandhya. Go ahead.
Yes. Kshetrajñam chapi mam vidhi सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञोर्ज्ञानं यत्तज्ज्ञानं मतं मम.
Very nice. Okay. So let's get started. In this one, Lord Krishna is saying that, O scion of Bharat, I am also the knower of all the individual fields of activity, the understanding of the body as well as the field of activities, and the soul, and God as the knowers of the field. This I hold to be true knowledge. I'll get back to that. We'll not go too detail into it, but we'll use this as a frame of reference for our further discussion today. Okay. So let's get started. Today we are going to talk about, like I said, science and spirituality we've been talking about, right? So we'll see the whole knowledge that is there to be known over a sea beach, the entire set of knowledge, everything that is to be known. And what we know, work in progress science is probably a grain of sand. Okay, for all the pride people have on how far humans have progressed, how far science has come, it's probably not even a grain of sand. Okay, if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, it's a work in progress thing. And but then think about it, how much is there to be known. Like, the true wisdom is, the more you know, the more you realize how less you know. Okay, Einstein, Newton, these people had that realization, right? Einstein's favorite quote is there, the more I learn, the more I realize how less I know, kind of a deal. And that's a fact of the matter as well. Because even if you look at the big scientists and all, we'll look at some references from the scientists today as well. Just to ace one subject, Maya, we are talking about the inferior energy of God, right? Which is material science, is what basically helps us understand the laws governing that. That itself is so vast. You go into, first it starts as journal science, then physics, chemistry, biology. Within biology, you have so many branches. Chemistry, you have organic, inorganic. Within that, there are so many sub branches. Same thing for physics. Within that, if you want to do specialization, then super specialization, and then, so it's like infinite knowledge. Nobody can ace even a one subject. So that is just the material energy. Just think about spiritual aspect of it. It is so vast and so infinite that it's just mind-blowing. So let's continue and talk about the topic that we've been talking about to take our discussion forward. So this is what we are doing, the seesaw. People think that is this based on spirituality and science? Spirituality is blind faith, hocus pocus, past life, future life. I mean, what kind of stuff it is? Mumbo jumbo, God, soul, and all that stuff, right? Who knows, who cares, who has seen life after death, right? This is the argument people submit. And science said it is the real deal. Quantifiable procedures, verifiable facts, logical arguments, right? That is what. And then we challenged that belief system and said, even in science, you need faith. Nobody's without faith. You have to take a leap of faith. And in fact, we came to a point where we saw, logically thinking, that who's taking a bigger leap of faith, a scientist or a spiritualist? And with common sense, you can decipher it is a scientist who's taking a huge leap of faith, who's outrightly rejecting the existence of God. It's not a straightforward thing to know that, right? And then we said, on the other side, you're taking an intelligent faith based on, the knowledge. That's it, a descending knowledge. Now the question comes, how would you trust descending knowledge, right? I think Nilesh had put in, like Chinese whisper. We'll talk about it tomorrow, not today. How do you know that it is correct, right? So that's where we'll see what is the mindset we need to approach this knowledge, and then what is the testimonial you need around it. So we'll discuss that as well. But let's continue what we need to do today. This is hard logic, this is assumptions, right? Not the case. Science also starts with a hypothesis, then it does the observation, and then it comes to the conclusion. Then we looked at the different kind of pramans, and we said the pratyaksh praman, which we feel more comfortable with, is not the best one, right? The hard, when you see something from your eyes, you're going to believe it. That's not the right. I mean, it's most loose evidence you can get on a very shaky foundation, because our senses are limited, and what is not directly perceptible to us, and we just simply negate that, it's not a good logic. For example, clarified butter is not visible in milk. If you have to see that, there is a process. You follow the process, and then the proof will automatically come. It will become evident. Similarly, spirituality, as scriptures tell us, if you want to perceive God, although he's permeated the entire universe, is present in everything, if you want to experience it, either you have to be like Prahlad, level of devotion needs to be so high where God will come to save you because your surrender and faith is so high, or you follow the process and reach that stage where you can see him like we are seeing each other. Both options are available to us. However, you have to follow the process, right? Just like going to some place, you need to apply for a visa and go through the drills, and then only you can see that. Same thing happens on the path of spirituality as well. So without following the process, without knowing the path, if you outrightly reject it, that is a very logical fallacy in that. And then we saw that there is an Anuman Parman where you draw some inferences, based on you're seeing something, and based on that you assume the other thing is right. For example, you have not seen your great grandfather, but the fact that you had grandfather and your father and then you, there's a reason for you to believe there is there, right? So that is better than Pratyaksh Praman, but still not perfect. And then we saw Shruti Praman, the oral tradition, and that is how the scriptures come. Just mind you, these oral tradition is not from people like you and I who forget what we said yesterday. Okay, these oral tradition is coming from sages and saints who were realized. It's like once heard, done deal. Photographic memory and understood it as well. So those sages have written it, and not something that different people have written it, and they have compiled that entire thing, right? And Vedavyas, he's himself called avatar of God. He's Chiranjeevi as well. Okay, he's residing currently in Badrikashram. You can go and meet him. I don't know whether he'll honor that date with you, but he's Chiranjeevi. So he has written these scriptures, and apparently you can imagine, the depth of his knowledge and understanding, because himself an avatar of God, and I think he takes avatar from time to time. I mean, in this case, he's Chiranjeevi like Hanuman. But his express purpose is to just document the entire body of knowledge that is available in our scriptures. That is essentially what he does. By the way, Shankaracharya ji, when he came, he actually went and debated with him, because Vedavyas is like I said, he's Chiranjeevi. He went and met him, and they had a shastrarth, and then Vedavyas blessed him. Now you are ready to spread the message or reestablish the Vedic wisdom. So these are the three pramans we had spoken about. Then we said two ways of acquiring knowledge, ascending and descending. And we said descending is a better way, because once said, always true. Like cooked rice, one piece of it is cooked, rest of it can be assumed is cooked as well. You cannot say, I'm going to test each grain one at a time. You can do that. You can test it, but the proof is in the pudding. You will see the results as well. And ascending knowledge is the point in time snapshot of the truth, which may keep on changing, as we will see today. All right, so let's move on. This is all we had done last week. We had reached there, and then we have reached this point where I had done a typo. Now I have corrected it. Where Dvaya Vidya, it says that these are the two branches of science. One is a material science, one is a spiritual science. Both are valid, both are bona fide. You cannot say one is true, other is false, and you cannot neglect, one over the other. Both are equally important. One is study of laws, the other is the study of the lawmaker. That's the difference. Yeah. And this is what we will continue our discussion on today. One is called Aparavidya, one is called Paravidya. Okay, Paravidya is a spiritual science, Aparavidya is the material science. Paravidya is related to soul, Aparavidya is related to the material things, gross things. Okay, now this is our body, right? Now this is the body. Okay, the bad news is this is not us. Okay, and if it disappoints you, then let me introduce us as well. This is who we are. Okay, I, soul. I made it in heart shape. I don't know what is the shape of a soul, but it resides in that region, so I made it a heart shape. But you see, the color is not very interesting right now. So this is body, this is soul, and then let's add some color to it as well. You see the thing, the color came, and this is nothing but the super soul. Okay, so now these are the three entities we need to know. So the body is energized by soul, and soul is energized by super soul. Okay, so this is the important concept. As in this shloka, what Lord Krishna is saying is understanding of the self, the Supreme Lord, the body, And the distinction between these three is true knowledge. What is true knowledge? He's saying the distinction between these three. Does science talk about it at all? No. They're still trying to find the God particle. Even consciousness is not explained by science. Right? It is a bunch of chemicals that we are, but we can't create life. And science would have us believe, if you go by purely by scientific theories, they will say that, when chemicals come together and some reaction happens and it creates consciousness. Okay. Now ask them, in chemistry, under certain conditions, the reactions are reversible. So why can't you create life again? You can recreate a reaction, even the reaction is reversible, as well as you can recreate the reaction under controlled circumstances or controlled conditions. But can we create life? We cannot. So first of all, these three entities are there. Our body, which is a bunch of chemicals, of course, made up of mud or the derivative of mud. Then the soul, which is our true identity. And then the super soul, which is energizing our soul itself. Now in this slide, people who are PhDs, deletes, may consider themselves to be erudite, but they do not understand the distinction between their body, soul, and God. But according to Lord Krishna, who doesn't understand that, they are really not knowledgeable. The real knowledge is knowing the field of your activity, which is kshetra, and the knower of the field, which is God himself. We'll talk about this concept in more detail in maybe next session or the following one. But let's understand there's a distinction between the field of activities that you have and the knower of the field. Okay, and that is the knowledge, there the real knowledge starts. So the very first thing Lord Krishna tells Arjun is about the soul. Understand your true identity, who you are. And that's how it starts. And that is where the very foundation of spirituality is built. Because if you consider yourself as a body and you think you're going to shut down one day, there's no reason for you to even become good. Why? What is the reason for you to become good or invest in yourself? No reason. Then it's just about one life. Enjoy yourself to the fullest, even if it happens at the expense of becoming bad or at the expense of making other people, taking advantage of other people, and move on. Who cares? There's just one life, right? We are going to just shut down like a machine does, and absolutely no incentive. But when you talk about soul, we are not going anywhere, and there are consequences, and there's a law of karma, and it is on a journey. Then there is an incentive for us to work, because we all are seeking that perfect bliss. We all are seeking to get rid of all the problems that we face in life. And we know, even though when we sleep, deep sleep, we again wake up. We wake up and we still have to confront or deal with the challenges of our mind. And spirituality says us there is no riddance of this mind. Even if you pass this life and come back as human, whenever you come, you will still repeat with the same mind. And who would like to repeat with a mind which troubles them so much? So that gives us an incentive to invest on ourselves and to keep on improving, so that we don't have to deal with these uncertainties, anxieties, troubles, and because of ignorance. So this is the distinction, and that is what these shlokas are based off. Now let's look at scientists, what they say. They reject spirituality. They say you are basing your theories on faith and go by faith. We believe what has been proved. There's a pride, right? If you prove it, we'll accept it. Now Newton, let's look at science. We did not go really technically into that. So if it sounds a lot very technical, that's fine. You really don't have to understand these theories, but it's important to be able to appreciate what is the faith or the foundation of science as such, okay, which we take a lot of pride in, especially the newer generation. If they're not exposed to spirituality, they think science is be all and end all of all, right? Now Newton himself said that he based his whole theory on Euclidean geometry. Euclidean geometry, if you remember in middle school, you would have done that. There are 2 points, there can only be one line that can pass through it. Okay, that is Euclidean geometry, 2-dimension part of it. However, in a few years, Riemann came. I mean, I used to hate Riemann geometry in mathematics. If somebody has done engineering and read that, you will understand why. He said, I'm going to challenge this postulate. Okay, he said that supposing 2 points, we can have 2 or more lines, they can pass through it. And he changed the assumption when he created a whole geometry called Riemann geometry. Okay, he just changed the very foundation of the initial geometry, Euclidean geometry, that Newton based his theories on. And then the coming mathematician, if you look at it, Lobachevsky. Okay, he looked at the fifth postulate of Euclid and fine-tuned it even further. And in fact, Einstein went on to use his theories, his geometry and not Euclidean geometry, to base his assumptions and theories on. You just look at it. From Newton all the way up to Lobachevsky, the very basis of the theories that were propounded, the premise for that kept on changing. So what is the truth? In that case, we don't know, right? That means it's still work in progress. Let's look at it from another angle. So this is the work in progress science. If you look at it, you start with 18th century, Newton came. He said world is like a machine with masses and forces. Newton felt the whole world is a machine with forces and masses. You can actually, anticipate where a particle would be if you know its velocity, acceleration, and all that stuff, right? Newtonian laws he gave. So this is when 18th century happened. Then came Michael Faraday. He said, you take a magnet to electric coil and pass mechanical energy. You can actually convert mechanical energy into electric energy, right? So he went beyond the scope of Newtonian mechanics. Point is, it is getting revised. Then came Maxwell. He spoke about, electric energy between positive and negative signals. Even if you don't take a signal, take out the negative or the positive, still the electric field would exist. So he introduced that as well, which humans were not aware of. And then of course Einstein came. He came that mass and energy are interconvertible. E is equal to mc square, we know that, and that was the basis of the nuclear bomb that was formed, because you can convert a matter into energy. So it kept on getting revised. Okay, if somebody had told Newton, that is not truth, people would have said it's sacrilege in the circles of science, because Newton was God at that point of science. Then came Faraday with some new found, Maxwell, and then Einstein, right? And if you look at this whole journey, how it unfolded, even for atoms, the Greeks said atom is indivisible. This is what I read when I was, growing up. Then Rutherford bombarded it, and he said 99% of the atom is a space. Okay, and then he said neutrons, protons are there. And then Neil Bohr said that, they are not solid particles. They are actually a probability of mass at a particular point, just energy at that point, interconvertible between, like Einstein had said. And then when he was looking at quantum theory, he said that whole development in physics that he had based his assumptions on, it's almost like somebody pulled a rug under his feet. Okay, because he was basing off it in the certain assumptions, and the science kept on taking a leap, right? Because human understanding keeps on evolving. So the point is, it's a point in time knowledge which keeps on evolving. And if we think that is, we have already understood what is there to be known, then it is being very naive. We don't even know even a sand particle if the whole knowledge that is there to be known is a sea beach, is essentially what I'm trying to say. Okay, and this is just material knowledge that we are talking about. Okay, we don't have a means to reach out to the stars which are further away from us, right? Even light takes about 8 seconds to come to us, and there are certain stars in our galaxy which, even though the light is it is traveling at a speed of light, still that has not been able to reach Earth. So you can imagine the distance of these planets or stars from Earth. So there's very, very little minuscule aspect that we know right now. Okay, and that is a huge limitation of science at this point. It will evolve over time because it is an ascending knowledge. But the point is, let's look at it in humility, as opposed to having a false pride that we have cracked everything that is there to be known. We will probably one day maybe get close to it, but there are things that will continue to remain beyond the scope of science because it is material. Right? For example, soul, how can you, unless you take refuge or advantage of spiritual science, you can't even understand these concepts. So anyways, I'll not get too deep into science today. So this is how it all evolved based on Euclidean geometry. So you look at the whole Greek concept to quantum theory, right? This is all has been a journey, and we will keep it seeing unfolded in front of our eyes as we grow, right? So it is a work in progress. So let's not think that we have already come to know about the absolute truth in life. So we need to have humility around it. Essentially, the message that I've understood from all these things, it's like, okay, there's too much to be known right now. Now, here is some of the views by the famous scientists. Okay, let's start with the Swiss microbiologist and a geneticist who received the Nobel Prize, along with, I think, a couple of other Americans, in physiology in 1978. He said that even the most primitive of cells require the combination of several macromolecules. All these came together remains a mystery to me. The existence of a creator or God seems a logical explanation for this. So people reaching the pinnacle of their understandings, or their entire lifetime of research, finally have to admit that, okay, there are things that we cannot understand unless we bring a divinity or some superpower into the mix. This is a Nobel laureate who said that. Isaac Newton, he said this most beautiful system of sun, planets, and comets would only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. This is from Isaac Newton. This is from Einstein. He said, try and penetrate with your limited means secrets of nature, and you will find that behind all this discernible concatenations, there remains something subtle, intangible, and inexplicable. Veneration for this force behind anything that can comprehend is my religion. To that extent, I am, in point of fact, religious. So he also understood, there is some kind of a force, because there are things, it brings in humility, right? There comes a point that if you are truly of a scientific temperament, science will compel you to believe in God, because you'll not have answers unless you start believing how this perfect creation came about. From a micro all the way up to a macro level, the spin, the tilt, the velocity, the axis, everything is so perfect. Because even if one variable changes, everything will turn into plasma. Right? The reason matter is sustained as solid, liquid, or the particular state that it is in, because the molecules inside, or its motion, is happening or being orchestrated in a certain way. Even if Earth's tilt or mass or axis or orbit changes by slight degree, it will collapse into sun and everything will get destroyed. So everything is so perfect. And then science would have us believe, this perfection from a micro to macro level happened because, boom, something exploded. So it's being naive, right? We'll talk about this Big Bang concept tomorrow, maybe tomorrow a little bit more. Then let's look at some more. So here's Austrian scientist Schrodinger's theory we have heard, right? He said, the cells of my body work in accordance with the laws of nature, yet I know I control these cells, forcing the effects and taking responsibility for their actions. So he said there is something I separate from these atoms and molecules, which is guiding their motion in accordance with the laws of nature. So he was also compelled to believe there is a separate entity. He's not sum total of his atoms and molecules of his body alone. Right? When you think deep, philosophically, scientifically, there is something else dictating it. Intuitively, you will start appreciating that fact. Something is dictating that. Okay, that came from Schrodinger, whose theories we would have. And tomorrow we are going to talk about, is it a Chinese whisper, or what is the test we can apply to this to know whether the theories that we go through should actually, we could repose our faith in those. And there's a triple filter test that we are going to talk about, by the way, tomorrow on this one. Anything so far on science that we have spoken about? Now, moreover, scientific technology does not help us get these answers, is what we're going to talk about. How to get everlasting peace and happiness. Have you heard that theory anywhere in any of the science chapters? Nobody. That is the irony, and that is what we seek for the rest of our lives. Okay. Why am I in this world? Nobody answers that. How to handle suffering? Science doesn't explain that. How is this world created and who created it? No answer. Big Bang, right? Very, very lame answer. Big Bang. We'll talk about it tomorrow, by the way. How to achieve our best potential as humans? Yeah, some self-help books here and there. How to purify our minds? No answers at all, right? So there's a very big limitation when it comes to material science with regards to answering the questions that are reflecting mankind. So with that, I'll take a quick pause. Any questions around what we have spoken about? I know it was a lot of stuff today. Hope you're able to at least get a sense of how limiting science is right now, and not something as grand as you would think, right? It is a baby and a toddler kind of a work in progress thing. If it brings in humility, then we are looking at it in perspective. If it brings in a false sense of pride, playing God, then that's probably not the right way to look at it. In fact, Swamiji says that the right way of progressing quickly, even in sciences, to basically have a synergy between these two. right? Rather than negating each other, if you take that truth and then your efforts towards proving that truth would be accelerated. Okay, so when you're ascending knowledge that you're trying to gain can actually be reinforced and could be accelerated when you understand the higher principles and divert your efforts towards achieving or trying to understand that truth. It could accelerate those efforts as well. Yes, Monica ji, you had a question.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe Monica ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Radhe Radhe Nitin ji. Nitin ji, I know that science initially was had a concept of universe, and now it's slowly changing its view on multiverse also. And recently there was a movie also on Doctor Strange where they were talking about multiverse. This is there in our Vedas already, right? So would we be talking about it, or can you talk about it now, about our existence on this planet and also in some other, because time is linear in space, and how does the multiverse concept work?
I think I did walk through that chart in one of the sessions. I can bring in multiverse. I mean, I spoke about our universe. Similarly, there are so many universes, and in each universe there are upper planets, middle planet, lower planet, right? And similarly, there are so many other universes there as well. So I can bring in another session, but our existence is not happening parallelly in other universes as well. Okay, if you are going with that concept, okay, there are Bollywood movies made around that. We are just existing here only. We could get a birth in any universe. We don't know. God's algorithm dictates that, or Chitragupta, I think his algorithm, he knows the book, he keeps the bookkeeping. But there are multiple universes, right? Then Krishna Leela, when Brahmaji came to know through Narad that God has taken avatar. And he said, really? And he said, yeah, he's taken. There's a place called Braj in Bharatvarsh. Go there. That's where he's taken avatar. He said, really? Let me go and check it out. So there were some kids who were playing there. And the kids were playing there. And he said, okay, which one is God? Tell me that. So Naradji said, the one blue guy you see. He said, okay, is that the one? So Brahmaji, his intellect did not agree. How could God be just a simple boy who's eating morsels from other mouth and stuff like that? He said, okay, let me test that. So what he did was he picked all the friends and took them to Sumeru Parvat. Okay. Now Krishna was seated in Brahma's heart also, right? That is the definition of God. He's the super soul. We spoke about it today. He noted Brahmaji. He said, game on. Krishna takes challenge immediately. He said, okay, let me also. And the Brahmaji actually desired that I want to see his Leela. So he said, Tathastu, and game on. So Brahmaji took all his friends and put it in Sumeru mountain, hid them there. And then Brahmaji came back to his abode. So there is a fraction. See, just look at that. From Braj to Sumeru mountain to Brahmaji's abode, he came back. Okay. Pretty quickly. Brahmaji can travel very fast. And that's where Krishna had already, he took on the form of a Brahma and told the gatekeeper, if another Brahma imposter comes, don't let him in. Okay. There are a lot of Brahmas roaming around claiming themselves to be Brahma, but I am the original Brahma. I'm already here. So don't let anybody come. So Krishna just happily sat there. And Brahmaji comes and asks his gatekeeper, said, no, you're not allowed. Brahmaji is already in. So Brahmaji immediately put one and one together. He thought it must be his Leela. Naradji had told me, God has come, it must be him. So in order to correct his mistake, he immediately went back to Braj. So Braj to Sumeru Parvat to Brahmalok, back to Braj. Quickly it happened, few seconds maybe. Within few seconds, theory of relativity, like in Interstellar in Hollywood movie. They said, right, you go to planets which are rotating at a very fast speed, the time passes by very quickly. So a few seconds for Brahmaji, all that travel that he did, and few years had passed below in Braj. And things were going business as usual there. Nothing. Krishna took on the form of all the cows and his friends and went back to each one of the mothers. Business as usual. And he fulfilled their wishes also, because all those mothers used to think, only we had a son like Krishna, they would always go to Yashoda Maiya's house. But Krishna said, okay, for one full year, he gave them the entire bliss of being Krishna. Then Brahmaji immediately, okay, so he's God only. And then he said, went back to Sumeru Parvat to check where the friends were sleeping there. And then he got them back and then came back to Krishna and said sorry and all that stuff. And Krishna smiled at him. But then when Brahmaji came, there's another Leela where he said to Krishna that, tell Krishna that Brahmaji has come. And Krishna, to put things in perspective, he asked Brahmaji, he tells, ask him which Brahmaji. So Brahmaji said, which Brahmaji? What does that mean? And then he said, okay, call all the Brahmas. And then they call all the Brahmas. Through his Yogamaya power, he calls all the Brahmas. And then Brahmaji, our Brahmaji looks at it. He's four-headed. And then when Brahmaji's come, which is 10-headed. Then there's another Brahma, which is 50-headed. Then there's another Brahma who's 100-headed, million-headed, billion-headed, trillion-headed. They are all material universe Brahmajis. So you can imagine how many our Brahmaji is in charge of our universe, who has 4 heads. And then you have Brahmajis who has 10 heads, 50 heads, 100 heads, million, billion, trillion. Those kind of Brahmaji also came. So you can imagine how vast this material creation is. And that is just 1/4 of this entire creation. That is what our scriptures tell us. 3/4 is spiritual abodes, which we have no clue about as yet. So this whole is in Bhagavatam. So that can tell you, if we are not even able to know about our planetary system and our universe, forget about other universes, right? How many universes would be there? All the stars you see in the sky, they are not for the decoration of the sky. We don't know what kind of planets and other creation is out there, which we don't have any access to. And they are strategically placed apart. Okay, maybe one day science will reach a stage they can do that travel to another universe, but so far we don't have that technology, and I don't know how much time it will take.
Right.
I can talk about that. The whole topography is given, how many universes, and in each universe you have, all the way up to Satyalok, then the middle planets, which is where we are, then the 27 Narakloks down below, and each universe has that.
Oh,
So that was a very short answer to your long question. Okay.
understood. Thank you. Radhe Radhe ji.
There
Hope
is
it's not overwhelming, all the description, but that is how it is.
There is a follow-up question from Ashutosh ji. Isn't Brahmaji not that much knowledgeable to know about other universes?
No, Brahmaji is knowledge. In fact, he's the most intelligent person. Okay, he does the creation, right? He does the bhakti, downloads the knowledge every time supposedly Big Bang happens, which we'll talk about tomorrow, and then he creates everything. So he's the most intelligent person on this earth. But his knowledge is also limited, right? I mean, our Brahmaji thought or sometimes God does Leela just to put it in perspective as well, right? That is also possible. But think of Brahmaji, he's the most intelligent person. And what does the most intelligent person say? I want to become the foot dust of gopis who are illiterate. So imagine, most intelligent person is craving for that. So who are we to put our buddhi on, these leelas of God? That what does he do? He said, Aho Bhagya, basically, oh my God, these gopis and this Braj, how fortunate they are. And he actually desires to Lord Krishna, just make me a grass there so that I can get a foot dust of all these gopis. Now, most intelligent person on this earth is saying that, he's of course more than a scientist, right? No scientist has a technology to create air out of ether and then fire, water, and Brahmaji is Brahmaji, and he's craving to become a foot dust of gopi. So you can imagine devotion, or the path of devotion, or bhakti, how elevated it is. The topmost jnani, which is Brahmaji himself, is craving for that. Yes.
Yeah, Tanmayji, Radhe Radhe. Please go
Radhe
on. Tanmayji, can you hear us?
Radhe Tanmeji. You are unmuted already.
I guess
Okay.
there is some technical issue, maybe.
No worries, we can get back to him. So I was saying that, see, this is again a very important concept to understand when we talk about Gyan part of it, right? Brahmaji is the most intelligent person, and the post of Brahmaji is like an army post. In our Indian army, they don't compromise on quality. If they don't get the right candidate, they don't fill it. They will leave that post vacant unless you have OLQs. They called it officer-like qualities. Similarly, the post of Brahma, God does not compromise on that. So if there is a Jivatma which is not eligible for it, if he doesn't find a suitable one, he himself becomes Brahma for that universe. Okay. And does the responsibilities of Brahmaji as well. However, if he finds a suitable soul, then a Jivatma like you and I can also become Brahma. And then for all the outstanding duties Brahmaji performs for that universe, he gets the abode of God himself. And Brahmaji, who has created this entire universe, happens to be the most intelligent Jnani. And that Jnani is saying, I need the food dust of gopis. So you can understand the beauty of the path of bhakti. Brahmaji understands what is the true nature or the purpose of scriptures and how difficult it is to attain that state that gopis have attained or Yashoda Maiya has attained. When he looks at Lord Krishna playing with Yashoda Maiya, where he's being chased, like people want to see his foot dust. People want to, see what you call Krishna in their meditation. And Yashoda Maiya and that Krishna, that big sages are not able to get in their meditation. He's actually crying to get into Yashoda Maiya's lap, and Yashoda Maiya is saying, "Go away. I have so many house chores to do. Just go away." So Brahmaji is saying, what kind of a fate she has got, that Purna Purushottam Brahm is coming. He's pleading, crying, "Take me in your lap," and she's saying, "Go away." So just imagine the state of Yashoda, right? And that Brahmaji who tested, checked out Krishna around in that Leela, maybe for our understanding, the topmost Jnani is saying, "Make me the grass in Braj so that I can get the food dust of his gopis." He understands. He's the one basically who has created this entire universe, right? For us through God's knowledge. He understands that that is the coveted position to be in. Right? So no Jnani can actually claim that they are bigger than Brahmaji, and Brahmaji is saying that give me the food dust of gopis. So that argument is settled basically, right? What is the topmost prize from God? Yes, Tanmayji, back.
Yeah, let's try it again. Radhe Radhe Tanmayji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, am I audible?
Yes,
you
we
are
can hear
audible
you.
now.
Okay, thank you. So my question is, as there are multiple universes, so can consciousness get travel across these universes? Because it's not possible, right? In black hole, the information also gets twisted and torted into binary information. So can consciousness travel to other universes? And now, second question is, can if there is an information, like let's say we are able to transfer our consciousness to another universe, can that information be reconstructed to create another living being?
I don't understand the second part. Maybe Swamiji would be a better one to answer this question. Can consciousness travel? I think based on my understanding, yes, astral travel is possible even in your meditation. Okay. But that doesn't mean you become God realized. So astral travel is not a big deal, especially if you have reached an advanced stage of meditation through your chakra meditation or maybe the breathing techniques as well, where you have really aced it to a certain level. So yes, you can travel. Now, can you create consciousness? I don't know. I mean, can you create? It's basically, if you look at consciousness, what is consciousness? Consciousness is a symptom of soul. Soul is a part of God. Can you create a part of God? I don't think so. We have that ability. Even to do creation, and only God has that ability to do that. I don't think we have that. But astral travel is certainly possible. And Narad Muni, anyway, he doesn't even need astral travel. He can travel in his body also, right? He says Narayan,
He
Narayan, and
travels
he's from
between the
one
lokas.
universe to
Yeah,
another.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
sir, my another question is, like, if it is possible, like we discussed about the Indriyas, right? So the Lord Krishna himself says that this entire material creation is made out of those 24 Indriyas. So I think it's
Entities, not
somewhere it should
Indriyas.
be possible.
Entities. 24 entities.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I guess
Indriyas,
I
24.
need to
See,
have some more information. Yeah.
the primordial energy is Prakriti. When God Purusha glances at Prakriti, the Mahan Tattva comes. Through Mahan Tattva comes Ahankar. Through Ahankar comes Panch Tanmatras. Through Panch Tanmatras come Panch Mahabhut. And through Panch Mahabhut, all the gross elements come basically, right? The science, the sense of sight, smell, taste, and all that stuff. And that is basically, I don't know, that is the same scenario for other level of existences as well. Like, for example, if I talk about Swarglok, they're not made up of Panch Mahabhut. Okay, I don't know what their bodies, maybe their body is made up of fire. Okay, they don't degrade like we do. They are outstandingly beautiful. They live for long, right? But that is also a temporary pit stop. Now we say that how can somebody live in sun? Now I say if somebody's body is made up of fire, only one element out of the five that we have, they can very well live on sun also. We don't have access to see them or the life there, but it is quite possible. So for our reference, it is Panch Mahabhut. Maybe in some other universe, there are different kind of entities and creation and bodies. We don't know that.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Can I take a pause and do announcements right now?
Sure.
And also share some pictures, maybe? I don't know,
Yeah,
right
sure.
now.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll stop share, make the announcements and share. What are we going to share? Holy pictures?
Yes, let's do that. I will. In fact, if Nitinji will allow, I have some videos also.
Oh my God. No, videos are not allowed.
Videos are not allowed. Okay. Okay, yeah, we had a JK Yog Holi festival. There was, okay, Shyamji's hand raised as expected.
Nitin bhai,
I
it's
think
not fair.
you can identify familiar faces. Himani ji is there, and myself. And I think, can you all identify Nitin ji? I guess it's not so difficult, right? There are two celebrities in this picture.
As you can see, we all had a very rough day. So that's why you can't make us out.
Yeah. And even Nikhil ji is there. He also attends the classes. I guess those are the people that, yeah.
Shyamji, this was just a 2-minute movement, okay? For rest of the day, we were working in heat, helping with the traffic, getting the cars in and out.
Okay, I'll stop sharing this. And I'll just quickly make announcements. So, first of all, coming Saturday, we have International Women's Day celebrations at JK Oak. So this is 112th Women's Day. And the theme is equality, I guess, embrace equality. So there'll be so many talks, award ceremonies, and a keynote lecture by Swamiji on this theme. And of course, it will be live broadcasted, so we can all attend it from our comfort of home. And people who can come to the temple, they should come and participate in this ceremony. So that's one thing. And otherwise, we have online yoga. I mean, yeah, online yoga teacher training coming up. So all of us can participate in this. It's a YTT, Yoga Teachers Training Program, a 200-hour program.
Starting on March 17th, right?
I forgot the dates, but yes,
Starting on March 17th.
I posted.
Then we have daily satsang going on. Please take advantage of that. It's a beautiful routine to get into. And then, of course, if you've not signed up for family camp, you're planning to come, please do plan for that as well. Anything else?
No, and feedback tracker. So please fill the feedback.
Please do fill out the feedback tracker. Any questions that you may have. We will continue to take on some more questions around science and spirituality. Probably one or maybe two at best sessions would, will cover the remaining topics as well. The 3 filter test I'll talk about. And of course, it is also a science, right? Spirituality, how you can vet it, test it, and see the results. Proof is in the pudding, right? So we'll talk about that as well. Okay, anything else?
And no, that's it about announcements. And there was a follow-up question by Monica G regarding astral travel. So is astral travel time travel too, or just it is a spatial travel between abodes?
I don't know. It's probably is spatial travel only, time travel. I don't know if time travel, that would be an interesting question. But looking at Narad Muniji, I think it is spatial travel only. It doesn't talk about going in the past or future, time machine and all that stuff. I think that'll be an interesting concept as well. But it is a spatial travel where he can travel around anywhere, right? Probably he has access. I always used to wonder how can he do Narayan and he's from one place to another, right? But let's try to understand it very simply. It's like, you're able to see my hand. Okay, so these are 2 dimension. If you have to go from this point to this point, you will walk like this, right? You will walk like from here to here because it's 2-dimension. Now let's say you have access to the 3rd dimension, and now I fold, those 2 points have converged. So just by virtue of having access to a 3rd direction, you have collapsed the space and the distance. Imagine if he has access to 10 other dimensions, he can go anywhere, right? So we don't know a lot of things. It is possible, everything is possible. Science is not, it will probably take time for science to get to that level, right? Maybe one day science will be able to cross across, what do you call that, one universe to another. We don't know. Or maybe God has strategically kept it apart so that that's not the purpose of human. What are you going to do? You know, people will start buying land there as well, right? And start putting real estate and jack up the property prices there as well. So maybe that's never going to happen, or maybe it will. But there are a lot of things science doesn't know right now. That doesn't mean those don't exist, right? So science is just not even a toddler in this path. If there is a journey of 10 miles, we have not even, science doesn't even know 1 centimeter as yet. That is how vast this knowledge is. And each material subject is so vast. Can you ace physics? Nobody can. No matter who you are, how many Nobel Prizes you have won, right? It just keeps on getting subtler and subtler and subtler, and you can't really master even a single subject in this material world. And we are talking about spiritual science, right? Which goes even beyond. So it should bring in humility. Actually, real knowledge is which brings in, they said Vidya Dadati Vinyam. It is a Sanskrit. So if you're not getting Vinyam because of Vidya or science, then it's a little misplaced. Okay. It's not a big deal. We are understanding, which is a good thing. Humans have to progress, be progressive. But if you think that is the whole thing, that is there to be known, that is being very naive at that point. Yes, Sam?
Yeah, Samji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe
So
Radhe.
Nitinji, the travel of consciousness is different from travel of soul, or what? It's, consciousness is associated with soul, right?
Yeah. So yeah, travel of
But
consciousness. Yeah, you can
uh,
do travel basically. I don't know. Soul
but
also
Swamiji,
goes along with it. Probably you can leave your body and move out. No, this thing, even Shankaracharya ji had done. Right? There was a question asked to him. Yeah, you can actually leave your body, your soul. You can do it is with your soul only.
correct. But Swamiji said in one of the SMX sessions that the souls will be limited to only one, one Brahman. Brahman means universe, right? So there are multiple Brahmans, multiple universes. Until God realization, the souls will be restricted only to one Brahman. And after God realization, we'll be able to travel across Brahmans like Naradji.
Possible. When you say astral travel, it could be within the same Brahman and possible. That's why I don't know the limitation of that. Where all it can go out of the body, it can go out of your planet. How far it can go, maybe it is limited by your universe only. Possible.
Okay.
If you read the book of autobiography of a yogi, talks about going to Sarplok and all that stuff, and it is quite possible. You can communicate with your guru through, tell all the means. So those things are there, of course. Now, can it go to other universes or within your universe? I don't know. Maybe Swamiji has already clarified. We can ask him that. But astral travel is possible. That is, the answer is yes to that.
Okay, Shyamji, you had raised hand earlier. Do you still want to speak?
Yeah, Shyamji, please go ahead.
Shyamji, I guess some network issue.
No worries. So let's wait. So tomorrow we are going to see the two aspects to it in this particular shloka that Lord Krishna is talking about. There is kshetra, the field of activities that we do, which is where material science comes in. And then there is a kshetragya, the one who is the knower of the field. And that science is spiritual science. Only spiritual science will give us the technology to know about the knower of the field. Okay? Material science cannot explain us that. No matter which course you do, which financial, scientific, topic you pick up, or any kind of study you do, it will not be able to explain you that, because it doesn't have the means to know that. No matter how strong microscope we build, we will still not be able to capture the soul, because it is divine, it is not material. So those kind of limitations would always remain. Yes, Shyamji, you wanted to say something?
Radhe Radhe.
Your voice has started breaking again.
Initially, जब आपने सेशन स्टार्ट किया, मेरे को
Your voice
नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है श्याम जी.
Network problem is coming.
I know because I have a low network.
Maybe you can turn
Let
off your
me
video and try.
camera off.
Now it is better.
अभी ठीक है?
Yes, now it's
Yes.
better.
या राजेंद्र भाई, इनिशियली जब आपने क्लास स्टार्ट करी तो मुझे लगा आज हम साइंस पढ़ेंगे, तो सब कुछ गया यहाँ वहां से, दाएं से बाएं से, अंदर ही नहीं गया. तो जब आपने कहा ना लेट्स टेक सम क्वेश्चंस, तब लगा मुझे मजा आएगा, अब हम गीता पढ़ेंगे. तब कुछ दिमाग में घुसा. उसके बाद संध्या जी आ गई होली लेके. तो जो पिक्चर्स के पास होता है कॉपीराइट, इसका कॉपीराइट, कैन आई गेट द कॉपीराइट विद माई सेल्फ, विद मी, सो दैट यू आस्क मी फर्स्ट कि हमें क्या शेयर करना है, क्या शेयर नहीं करना. दीज आर मोर लाइक टीजर. नितिन भाई, टीज करते रहते हैं आप मुझे बारी बारी. अब ये इसका इलाज भी मुझे बता दें अगर आप लोग, तो अच्छा रहेगा मेरे लिए भी, आप लोगों के लिए भी. वी कैन हैव फन टुगेदर. मुझे कोई दिक्कत नहीं है धूप में खड़े होके गाड़ियों सफाई करने का, उनको रास्ता दिखाने का. बात मैं कर लूंगा, जैसा मुझे बोलते हैं मैं करता हूँ ना. यू नो हाउ गुड आई एम, हाउ ब्रिलियंट आई एम.
आपको we were going to celebrate Holi together with you, okay? And that's going to happen pretty soon. अब आपने visa apply कर दीजिए. I think next year we have to make it happen. Okay, and you will make up for all the funds that we have had, which probably you can count in 5 or 10 minutes, but we'll make sure you have it all in one shot. So
Thank you so much, Nitin bhai.
I'm glad
I
she
hope-
did not show you the video, otherwise you would have said what's going on here.
वही तो बोल
I
रहा
can
हूँ.
share it separately with श्याम जी though.
Yeah, make it viral ना.
वायरल, that makes sense. और एक और बात नितिन भाई, जैसा कि इस बारी बारी है मोनिका जी की, एक रिक्वेस्ट है, इफ दे कैन डू नॉट ऑन सैटरडे, बिकॉज सैटरडे आई कांट हैव क्लासेस बिकॉज आई एम बिजी इन योगा क्लासेस. इफ पॉसिबल, इफ शी इज रेडी फॉर एनी अदर डे, और as all of us are, if possible. Otherwise, we can do as you say, or as Monica says.
So Monica ji, what do you think? You want to go on Friday or tomorrow or some other day, or maybe Tuesday next?
Okay, Monica ji.
If possible, just
You're unmuted.
request. Yeah.
तो श्याम जी, आप चाह रहे हैं कि मैं सैटरडे करूं कि कब करूं?
सैटरडे मत कर, फ्राइडे मत करो.
फ्राइडे? हाँ ठीक है, फ्राइडे नहीं करेंगे, फिर इस वीकेंड की बात करेंगे.
But it has to be something other than Friday, because Shyamji wants to see your presentation with bated breath. And
Or you
Friday
can do
is
it a day
better.
earlier on Thursday.
Thursday
नहीं,
makes
but
sense.
Okay, we'll
we
figure
need
out.
one
Maybe,
weekend.
maybe
We just
Thursday.
need one weekend.
Okay.
We need
sure.
one weekend together because everybody is working ना, तो थोड़ा. So Tuesday maybe.
Sure.
Next Tuesday.
Sure.
Tomorrow, next Tuesday.
Sure. Sounds good.
ठीक है श्याम जी.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Pleasure.
Yes.
Neetu ji wants to ask something as well.
Yeah, Neetu ji, राधे राधे, please go ahead.
राधे राधे. मैं जस्ट यही बोल रही थी कि हमें भी चाहिए वीडियो होली का. If you can do so.
Maybe I'll just take Nitin ji's permission and I can put it up on community portal. Everyone can see.
See, I made a fool
They
out
are
of
in the
myself.
queue too, so please.
I have made a fool out of myself multiple times, and this is no different. Okay, so that's probably what it is going to be. Anyways, any
I
questions?
don't agree, but yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neetu ji. Radhe Radhe.
Okay, so any questions related to what we have spoken about? I know it was a lot of scientific. See, the idea is not to get into the deep science, but be able to appreciate that, the limitation. Basically, if you look at the science, you'll be able to see it's a work in progress, and we put a lot of faith in that. Okay, so that something has to be looked at in perspective. It keeps on evolving and will keep on evolving. And from a scriptural standpoint, the truths are truths. They have not been revised. They don't get revised. And like science, you can try those out and see the results for yourself. Okay, the proof is in the pudding. And tomorrow we'll talk about the 3 filter test as well, because there are too many theories, philosophies floating around. Somebody would come say, what are the 3 yardsticks you can apply to say, okay, now I can trust this message? Because faith is needed here as well. Faith is needed everywhere. Whether you travel, whether you eat food, whether you go to a barber, faith is needed everywhere. And if you are doubtful, ever doubtful, then there's no end to it as well. So faith is needed, but we can have a informed faith. or so to say intelligent faith, which kind of contradicts with that faith is blind, right? But you can have an intelligent faith as well. Okay, any questions, or we want to, yes, Mahi wants to ask something?
Yeah,
The
and
question,
I
I think
also have a question. So
we can
I
move to the
can.
devotional segment. We are already over, but we can take a question or so, maybe if there's one. Yes, Mahi?
Mahi has put her hand down. I have a question. Can I quickly ask?
Yeah, sure.
So in the field of material sciences, people like usually it is helpful to kind of understand same concept through different sources to kind of strengthen and the clarity and understanding of that concept. However, in the field of spirituality, that can work other way around, because it can create confusion if you think that you would want to understand same scriptures from multiple gurus. So I want you to kind of comment on that.
Yeah, that is true. It can happen. Very true, because that is that example of elephant we spoke about, right? But when you start, see, initially, even in spirituality, you say so many theories are there, so many ideas are there, right? But then the beauty of it is, as you keep on progressing, you start seeing a common denominator in all of them. Initially, I used to think, Christians say this, then they say this, they say now, and then that book was saying that. But when you start getting, a little more understanding, you see a common underlying theme in all of them. And then spirituality is about unifying those concepts in your head, right? Even the book like Sign, and then your power of thoughts, you attract situation and circumstance, they all start converging. So that is from at that level. But when you start going deeper into that philosophy, of course, you need a guru who can reconcile it for you, okay? Or simply keep following the path where your trust is established, because maybe that's the lesson for you. Until you learn that, you're not ready for that next one. So it becomes what do you call a little what do you call that? It's a journey that, at the end of the day, God said that I become the faith inside you, that He's going to solidify your faith. So now, whichever path you are on, what you have picked up, which appeals to your heart, the message that cuts through your heart, just hang on to that, right? And if you have found a guru, nothing like it, just keep progressing and see where it takes you next, right? God has plan for all of us. When we are ready for the next message, He will knock your door or get somebody introduced in your life so seamlessly through your existing guru that you will say, okay, now it just makes sense. That can also happen.
But yeah, and also like
But
it is
when it comes to listening
important.
to multiple gurus, beyond, yeah, let me answer that question. If you're listening to a philosophy, it has clicked to you, it is said it's better to continue whatever is started clicking you, to continue progressing in that. If you spend entire life experimenting around listening to people, just saying that, I'll take a little bit of this, little bit of that, then it can be counterproductive also. Your mind will be all over the place. So it's important, if you've started understanding something, stick to that and take it to the next level until you are able to appreciate other messages also. But otherwise, your mind will get confused, because people will explain it from their standpoint, right? Like Advaitvad, Vishisht Advaitvad, and Achintya Bheda Bhedavad, all that stuff is there. Now, Maharaji reconciled it, but not everybody gets the advantage or benefit of coming across a guru like that, right? So what do they do in that case? Whatever is making sense, you keep progressing until you are ready for the next message.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Mahi,
Yes, Mahi. Sorry, you wanted to say Mahi is
can you
the
please raise hand again, Mahi?
Yeah, Mahi.
And also there's a comment from Lakshmi ji, but all true saints may have same content. Am I correct?
True. If you look at they are saying, if principally they are saying the same thing, but the variations would be there based on the message that they are giving, because it is a function of Desh, Kal, Patra, and a lot of other factors, right? The time when they have come, what is needed at that point. So too many factors come into play. Now, Mahi, I see her hand raised.
And just to ask one more thing follow. So even then, even if all true saints have the same content, isn't it that there is one-to-one sort of association between a guru and a disciple? Like if one tries to say that, okay, all of them are true saints and I'll start following all of them at the same time, that
We can't follow all of them. We don't have the intellectual capacity to follow all of them at the same time, right? It's a spiritual entertainment, I would say, at that point. You
Yeah.
can't. Ananyata is a default, is a byproduct of your spiritual progress. Cannot happen. It is an entertainment if you say I follow all of them. People who ek sadhe, sab sadhe na koi. You are just entertaining your mind at that point. Because then you want to taste the recipe, right? And when you start tasting the recipe, you understand, it's just making sense. Let's continue digging the well that we started doing. But somebody who gives that argument is more of a spiritual entertainment, nothing more than that. Let's hear from Mahi. I think she's
Yeah.
been raising her hand.
Radhe Radhe Mahi. Mahi, can you hear us?
Hare Krishna, Radhe
The
Radhe.
voice is not
Actually,
coming.
today, yes, Mataji.
We can't
Yes,
hear you.
yes, sure.
clearly.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Okay, something problem. Yes, Nilesh, you wanted to say? I think some problem with the audio. I think Mahi Sharda ji's daughter, I guess.
And that's what I'm
Are you
assuming.
back?
Okay. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Oh, you're not.
Krishna.
Mahi, you need to fix your audio and please retry again because we are not able to hear you clearly. Yes, Nilesh.
Okay. Nilesh ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Nitin ji.
Okay.
So Radhe Radhe, what I'm trying to think is I was having this debate about the body soul, and the question was I have not seen soul and I don't believe in it. Then the slide which you had shown me, Bulgaria, that I have not seen Bulgaria, but we trust Bulgaria, and then there's a process to verify Bulgaria, right? You can go and look at it. But then there is no process to verify that I can see the soul. So at that point, you have to put the faith in it. Now, our scripture says that in chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita, it introduces the concept of soul. But then the question comes, who wrote Bhagavad Gita and how did he know the whole Bhagavad Gita, right? And then again, we have to believe a faith. So it's a leap of faith, and at some point you have to, as you said, which is a bigger leap of faith. Is that the right thinking?
True. It is the right thinking because Vedvyas wrote it and he even empowered Sanjay. He gave him some Zoom link, through which he could see the live telecast. Okay, we have to put that faith in that as well. And if you look at there are 700 shlokas, not two different people are saying that there are 800 or somebody says 850. Shlokas are there and they are so profound knowledge that you read and beyond a point, Krishna will start telling you, this is divine. It's not an ordinary knowledge, beautiful depth knowledge. So yes, it's a faith. It has to begin with faith there. Now you said you have not seen a soul, but if you think deeply enough, intuitively, you would know you are somebody different than a soul, right? Something that is mine cannot be me. Now my body, my car, my house, that is not me. My mind, that is also not me. You can read your mind. That means something that you can read, you are different from that. My intellect, even your buddhi, is giving it, that is something different, right? Your body is changing every 7 years, it changes. And now if you have committed a crime and you say, my body has changed, that was some other person. No, the judge will say it's still you. Your face might have changed, it's still you. What is that I? So spirituality talks about that I is the soul. And then, of course, for to wake up that I is the whole business of spirituality, right? It's a passenger which has fallen asleep, and charioteer is driven by our senses, mind complex. So that I intuitively should think deeply in meditation. Also, you'll understand you are not this body. But that realization goes away because of our interaction with the world and thinking of ourselves as a mind. I is deeper. You can read yourself, you can read your buddhi, you can mind. So that I, and that it's me, the I has been consistent throughout, even though everything around you has been changing, your thought process and everything. And that is what spirituality is telling us. And the other part of it is the default is anyway there, world is there. It's not running anywhere. So Maharaj used to say that, you gamble on God for a change and spirituality for a change. World is not going to run away. It's anyway going to be there. So it's not that you're going to miss out big time, but on the contrary, it will start making you blissful, joyful, and closer to the truth, and clearing up your mind and doubts. So then you can reap the benefits of it, because world is not going to run away anywhere. But yes, initially it will take faith, like any other thing. See, we put faith in everything. Tomorrow, if you have to learn a language, right, you will put a faith in teacher.
You have
Okay,
to.
teacher will say KNIF is knife. You will not say no knife. Or somebody says you have to build six pack and you have to do gym, this many exercise, cut down on sugar and do this. You will do that. You are putting faith in that person, right? And then you see the results. So it's everything in this world starts with faith only.
Got it.
And then you do the observation, and then the conclusion part of it. Proof is in the pudding. And in Narad Bhakti Darshan says, devotion and the path of bhakti is like the praman or the proof of salt in food. You will know it. That is how powerful it is. You will know something is happening, something is different is going on in life. I'm feeling different. My version is changing now for good. All that will be your proof. Realization will be the proof. It's not a hocus pocus stuff that you'll have to wait for. So that is the power of this path. Basically, one shloka you pick up in Bhagavad Gita and see how it can transform your entire life. If you simply align to that one principle that Lord Krishna is talking about, that's it. That is how powerful it is. Right? And then you may initially say, okay, maybe Ved Vyas, okay, whoever, it's just too much. But let's not get hung up. Let's say, okay, maybe I'll suspend my judgment around it. Just focus on this thing, what they're saying. Anyway, I'm not going to lose anything big. And when your realizations will start coming in, automatically that faith will also keep on getting established. That I'm on the right path. This knowledge is pakka knowledge. It's not a mumbo jumbo. And that faith will keep on. Then there will be a point where you just take it on the face value. Okay, even if somebody tells you the monkey is flying over a sea with a mountain in his head, you say, okay, one day it'll make sense.
Okay, there is a comment from Prabhatji. Science, religion, everything has a limit. Only spirituality is limitless, like Anant.
Very true.
And there are a couple of other comments. So Mahi, I think this is a different Mahiji. And they wanted the link for the class. So I have shared that. And they also have a comment that the class is amazing. And then there is a question from Vandana ji. All the teachers taking online session on Zoom from JK Yog, have they taken any special training from Swamiji? How can they know so much in depth? Just to understand how do we also, like she just wants to understand how can we also become capable of receiving such wisdom? Yeah, that's a question for you, Nitin ji.
Yeah, so when Swamiji comes, right, when he meets us, he gives us a small capsule. You have to take it for a week, 2 times a day, and that's it. I'm just kidding. No, you keep attending these sessions and keep listening to Swamiji. This knowledge will become like a back of your hand. He is so amazing. He keeps on giving the same concept through different angles. And if you keep reading his books, so this is not a knowledge that I've acquired, right? I am just a postman. I just read through his books, collect the knowledge, put it on slide, or listen to his lecture, collect the knowledge, put it on slide. That's all I have to do. So that is how amazing he is. He's done all the hard work for us. Okay, we are just doing the packaging and posting it at this point. So you just keep attending the sessions or keep listening to his videos, reading his books, and this all will start coming together now. We are fortunate in the sense that he has given these concepts in so many different places, in different books, in different lectures. We have an opportunity to put it all together. Okay, and that's what I try to do. Bring it from all the different sources and put it all together based on the concept that we are discussing. But you keep attending it, and within a year, Vandanaji, you'll be taking my place and I'll be on the other side. Okay, so I won't be surprised if that happens. Trust me.
Okay, and Urvi also had a comment. Like you mentioned, proof is in the pudding. I think you are an example of that. Probably is what she's trying to say. Nitin sir is a proof is in the pudding. Nitin sir is a pro.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
tell you, I can vouch from my side that my older version and the version I am in, I'm not saying I've become better, but I certainly feel even if somebody throws $1 billion at me, I will not go back at that stage. Okay, because I know the power of even a little change we can bring about in our life. It's a jump of so many lifetimes. So if I can give up big, any kind of incentive somebody gives me to get back to my previous, I will not take it. That much I can tell you. And of course, I feel much better, much more in control, both at work and otherwise. So your own experience will tell you that. See, in Narad Bhakti Darshan, it says the bliss that you feel on this path is something that cannot be articulated, or the newer realizations that you have. It's like a dumb person or a gunga person trying to explain the taste of a jalebi. How will they say? If he cannot speak and somebody says, okay, tell us, how does jalebi taste? Cannot taste, you cannot explain it. If you are hungry, let's say, and somebody asks you, how much hungry are you? How can you explain? It's a matter of realization, experience. Similarly, spirituality, what you realize, new revelations, that experiences, realizations, you just experience it and you know it's happening. You can't articulate it. So you just have to go through that journey yourself. And I can vouch for myself. Yeah.
Falguni Desai ji says we have to open ourselves to receive from the Guru.
True. Openness, humility is needed. And then magic will start to unfold. And especially if you come across somebody like Swamiji, don't let go of that opportunity. Meet him, grab him, hold his feet, take all the wisdom that you can. Okay, it's a golden opportunity. Don't lose this opportunity.
And just quickly, sorry Rahulji for keeping you waiting. I just will read one more comment. So Ajit ji says, as milk contains ghee, so the body contains the soul.
Yeah.
Basically, like, yeah, I guess.
Dandavat, it said, and basically, yeah, consciousness, it permeates our entire body. Just like if you apply chandan here, it will cool your entire body. Similarly, just by virtue of having soul located in the region of our heart, it permeates consciousness throughout our body. That's how it works. Yeah.
And Shamji says that's a fact that Swamiji gives capsules to his dear ones.
I wish he had one. Okay, I would be selling it along with Golgappas for a fortune.
All right. So Rahulji, thank you so much for waiting, and Radhe Radhe, go ahead, please.
Yes, Rahul.
So Maharajji and Swamiji have given 3 capsules on Ananyata. The first point is Ananyata in the Ishtadev. That is very important. Second thing, Ananyata in Guru. And the third thing is Ananyata in the instructions of the sadhana which he has told.
Yes.
So
Yes.
these are the 3 capsules from our dearest Swamiji and Maharajji.
Thank you for bringing that. Very true. If you simply align to the teachings of the Guru, then that itself will start making our life very auspicious and realizations even stronger. Very true. Thank you for bringing that about. I think we'll let go of our devotional segment today. Maybe one more question because we are way past time and I want to be mindful of everybody's time. So yes, Tanmeji, last question.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe, Tanmeji.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe. Sir, can you please throw some light on how can we awaken our chakras and kundalini?
Okay. No, that will be a bad joke. I was looking for a light on my mobile. Okay. So, no, I don't know. That's an out of syllabus question for me because Kriya Yoga and other practices talk about this practice, Kundalini, but it is not spiritual. It will not help you evolve spiritually. You are still playing with the toys of material world. On the contrary, if you do that, Kundalini and all, without proper knowledge, it could be counterproductive for your spiritual journey. People actually fall down big time if you don't understand the bigger principles around it. So yes, there are now the studios they have opened up in US where they promise to do your Kundalini Jagran. I think they have some certain practices and stuff to do that. But the point is that is not spiritual progression. A lot of people can awaken their Kundalini. Okay, that doesn't mean they have evolved spiritually or they have become a step closer to God realization. So general practice for devotees is to focus on developing love and faith to God and leave aside all these things. These material things, they can actually derail your journey as well. But if you really want, I mean, I won't recommend it. I think you can find a good Kriya Yogi and all people. They can talk about how to move your chakras, from one position to another and stuff like that. Although it is not recommended on the path of devotion.
Okay, thank you so much.
No worries. I think we took a session on Kriya Yoga and other practices and Kundalini and all that. So maybe we'll take one more session. to see whether a spiritualist should really go for these things or not. Yeah.
Awesome. I guess there are no more hands raised.
Okay. Great. Anybody who wants to sing today? Maybe one we can take and then we can call it quits for today. Tomorrow we will continue on this topic.
Nitin ji, aap?
I don't know. Urvi is there. Maybe she wants to sing.
Urvi seems to be excited to hear you. Looks like her thumbs up says that she would want to hear you.
Which bhajan? I don't even know. Okay.
Naam Sankirtan, whatever you like.
Okay. I Ram Sankirtan, which one? Hare Ram, Hare Krishna? Okay, let me think. There's one, this one, right? ठाकुर युगल किशोर हमारे, दासन हम श्रुति चारी के। ठाकुर युगल किशोर हमारे, दासन हम श्रुति चारी के। गुरु सेवा ही धर्म हमारो, दासन हम श्रुति चारी के। गुरु सेवा ही धर्म हमारो, दासन हम श्रुति चारी के। ठाकुर युगल किशोर हमारो, दासन हम श्रुति चारी के। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे. All right. So basically what it means is we just believe in love and devotion, and we don't even go too deep, basically too much into scriptures and rituals and all that stuff. Okay, so that is the difference between Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. Okay, that is, you just do the seva of your guru and rest all will follow. Basically that is all, because Nitya Das, right? We are that is a very simple formula. Forget about every rituals, all the things and practices and all, just do the seva of your guru, and then before you realize, the things will be just going on a cruise control in your life. Okay, and I can vouch for that, I'm telling you. Okay,
Thank you so much.
Prepared for it, so I don't even remember that. Okay, the second line I just picked up whatever I remembered. So
It was awesome. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, so thank you everyone for joining.
thank you everybody, and tomorrow I'll look forward to seeing you 1 hour early. Hopefully it's not too much of an adjustment for you and it works better for you at India. Rest, I think you had a pretty good turnout, so thank you again. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Radhe Radhe from my side.
Radhe Radhe. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.